Hey everyone, how you doing today? Matt and I have agreed on topic number 3, and you are going to like it. But let's welcome Matt to the show. How you doing, buddy?
Doing super, Mike. Doing super.
Hey, we're both in our 40s now, and I want to have a conversation about what we would tell our younger self. Now, this could be younger self, teenager, younger 20s, younger 30s, or even somebody starting in their early 40s, right? This
Yeah.
is for that. So I'll start this one. What I want to remind people of is something I suffered from in the beginning, and that is as my income grew, I allowed myself to buy nicer things without full context of what they cost. So let me give you an example. The first time I got a significant raise, I think I was making 50 grand a year or 55 or something. I went out and bought a $40,000 sports car, right? A 3000 GT, Mitsubishi 3000 GT, pearl
Oh,
white, right?
nice.
Nice ride. But what I failed to realize is when you do that, there's a lot of extra costs, because what I did as an individual, I said, hey, I can afford the car payment. I think it was like 516 bucks or something like that. But what you need to realize, folks, is once you get the nicer car, you got to get the nicer insurance. Once you get the nicer insurance, oh, by the way, it's the first sports car I have, and sports car tires cost a lot. And when you go through 4 sets in a year, that's a problem. And then you just end up buying more. Not you just like one nice thing buys nicer and nicer things. And, when you get the nicer suit, you got to get the nicer shirt. When you get the nicer shirt, you got to get the nicer tie. You got to get the nicer shoes. And I should have been comfortable where I was at because I was okay.
Mhm.
It's just don't fall for consumerism, right? They try to get you, right. You deserve. And if you're going for financial freedom, the worst thing you could do is buy one really nice thing, because that comes with unseen expenses. That's a surprise I didn't see coming, and I would love a younger self to see.
Mm. Yeah. It was a car for me too, Mike.
Oh, funny.
It was. And I was more stupid than you.
Oh no.
Yeah, mine was a Dodge Viper.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
V10.
Yeah. Yep. Big V10, big, nice, beautiful. I was just like, it was so choice. It was just, oh, it was wonderful. And, I had that meteoric rise. Within a year, I went from working at a video store making $5.25 an hour to working at a telemarketing department making about $15 an hour to 6 months later being in sales. And my first full month's commission check was 10 grand.
Oh, there we go.
So that was a meteoric rise, for the ninth grade dropout.
Yeah.
And so money was just, and I was like, whoa, $2,000 in a month? Are you nuts? Like, yeah, it's party time. And so, yeah, I did the wrong thing. I was just like, what cool thing can I buy with this right now? And it was just like, this was just and so the crazy thing is I was house hacking with a buddy of mine. It was his house. I was paying $250 a month to live in his house. And because my payment was only $250 to live there, I was so awesome at not doing the math that I bought a car with a $1,200 a month car payment. What an idiot.
Oh, by the way, it's a car you can only drive 6 months out of the year.
True story. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the other thing it was like, and depending on the winter, it was more like 5 months. Yeah. So I was like, this is the best. And where should I put this thing? Hey, Mom, I'm going to put this car in your garage.
Oh, funny.
So yeah. And the funny thing is like, you look at the math, right? Over that $1,200, had I just saved that for a year,
Yeah.
right? And then the expenses and the insurance and all that other stuff. I mean, I was 21, 22 years old with a Dodge Viper. Like, these are not things that belong together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the money, it was just, I mean, it was like, I did the math one time and it was $17,000
Yeah.
that I had into that car in year one. Had I just saved that, I'd have been in a property a year sooner. Dumb. And I didn't convince myself I deserved it, but boy, did I want it. And because I was working 80 hours a week to get those big commission checks, I was like, let me just enjoy it this way. Man, if I just had been focused on a different direction And then I looked at just doing a house or something like that. Now, a year and a half later, I ended up buying my first house. The downside is I could have done it sooner. I could have done it sooner, and I would have actually seen an even better return, because at that point, the market was actually edging up pretty quickly in the early 2000s.
Yeah. The other thing I would tell my younger self, and again, this is for a teenager, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever your younger self is know the difference between investing and gambling.
Oh,
I
yeah.
call it investing, speculating, and gambling. I begrudge no one as long as they call it the right thing,
Sure.
right? Don't play in GameStop at $400 a share and call it investing. The
Yeah.
intrinsic value of GameStop is not $400 a share. Could you make short-term profits? Sure.
Sure.
If you're going to call it a gamble or a flip of a coin, I wish you the best of luck.
Mhm.
But too often, and this stock market is the easiest way to do it. It could be houses, it could be land, it could be whatever you want. Know the difference between investing, speculating, and gambling. I got that wrong. My biggest losses, I started as an investor. I got an ego and got cocky, and I started being less than disciplined, which, and now in hindsight, is speculation. And then I got so cocky, I thought I could do no wrong. And I was flipping freaking quarters and guessing what happened, right? It's painful.
Well, to that end, Mike, investing is based on fundamentals, the math, it's just the math. It's based on the fundamentals. And when you start speculating, that's less based on the math. And when you start gambling, it's not based on the math, factually speaking. It's gambling.
It's
And
all
there is
feeling,
not,
right? I feel it. I'm hot.
there's not a game out there in the casinos that has an even shot other than maybe blackjack if you're really good and you play at the numbers and the math all the time.
Mhm.
Everything else is significantly in their favor. So that's why it's called gambling, because it's a chance that your number might come up more quicker than if you sit at the table for 2 hours.
Yeah.
They know all they need you to do is keep on sitting there, because the math eventually works in their favor. It's just which game and how fast it does. It's the same thing with stocks. Same exact thing. That momentum. I mean, I didn't look at what GameStop is this morning, but
Down. It's not 400.
Yeah. I was gonna say it ain't 400.
Yeah. 400. Yeah. Oh, this is good. I like this conversation. I actually feel like I'm getting stuff off my chest. The other thing I would tell that my younger self is, and we brought this up a little bit in number 2, every family has an income statement, right?
Yeah.
Top line, bottom line, wages, savings. What I would tell folks is, yeah, it's sexy to talk about increasing income. It's sexy to be in a commission job where you can really kill it. I was in one, you're in one. It's awesome. It's not for everyone. But the easiest thing to do is evaluate your expenses, needs versus wants. And not enough people have appreciated how important that was in Olivia and I's story, right?
Yeah.
When we get into this journey, we have enough to do 3 houses. And I'm very clear about that, right? We were in a situation where we could do 3 houses with our savings, and we did. But we go nowhere else if we don't ratchet our expenses. And needs versus wants, understanding. For me, I think we've talked about this. It's not price, it's time. I wish people would see every price tag as time. You walk into a store and you look at an iPhone. I don't want you to look at 1,000 or 2,000 or whatever they cost nowadays. I want you to understand how much time does it take for the discretionary income to pay that. For some of you, it's days, some of you, it's weeks, and some of you, it's months. It's not $1,000. It's time. Time is our only asset that can't be replenished. People don't get it. I've spent a lot of time trying to get people to understand that family budgeting is an important conversation, so much so that I created a course on it. It's not taking off, and that's okay. But dude, it is so important to understand what your family budget is.
It really, I mean, I always joke with my other landlord buddies how 95% of my tenants drive a nicer car than I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I drive a 2002 crew cab GMC truck with 180,000 miles on it. And you know what? That's good enough. I own it for cash. I don't have a payment on it. If something breaks, it's like a few $100.
Yeah.
You know, my wife, for the longest time until we had kids, she drove late 90s Pontiac Grand Prix
Yeah.
I called them the $2,000 specials.
Yeah.
You know, control your expenses. I promise you would love that car, but wouldn't it be better to be buying a house and take the leftover money that you would be paying in rent, or if you're house hacking with your friends? If you like being a landlord, if you don't like being a landlord, live with wider margin.
Yeah.
Live with wider margin. It's going to make you sleep a whole lot better.
One of Olivia and I's biggest chuckles that I can remember us having, just like full gut chuckles together, was we had just walked out of evaluating an apartment building, right? We did our walkthroughs of an apartment building we were buying, right? Commercial apartment building. And we get in the car and she says to me, did you see did you see the TVs in all those units? I'm like, yeah, I did. She's like, did you see that every one of them had a bigger TV than we have?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that every one of them had more than one TV?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. Right. Because at the time, right, we were both very busy raising our daughter. We had one TV, no kidding. It was 24 inches. Right. I watched sporting events on it occasionally, and Teresa would watch her, cartoons on it. That was it. We didn't have time for a TV. But lo and behold, all the tenants in an apartment building, millions of dollar apartment building we were buying, had these huge 50, 60-inch TVs. And I was just floored by that. I mean, one of the TVs was so big, it impacted opening the door. I mean, what are you thinking?
There was a house that just went for sale where we are. And the guy said in the ad, the broker said in the ad, this house is made for entertainment. It has 27 televisions that all come with the house.
Jesus.
And I'm just looking at it, I'm like, why? Just no one needs to be that cool. Like, and I'm all about sports and multi-screen and the whole 9 yards, but it's called PIP, picture in picture, man. And so it's funny because, $1,000 iPhones and $1,000 laptops and $1,000 televisions and $500 a month for a car payment. I talked to a lot of young kids and they were able to get approved. 21, 22 years old. They had a decent job and they got approved for a $500 a month car payment.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was $200 for insurance and $1,000 for registration. And before it was all said and done, I showed them, I said, that car cost you $875 a month.
Yeah.
Which is more than your share of the rent.
Yeah.
For a car. I promise you aren't that uncool to need something to be that cool. And there's nothing cool about debt.
Yeah. Amen to that.
There's just isn't. So
yeah, the biggest thing I would tell, kind of summarizing this section is really I would get comfortable understanding need versus want.
Yeah.
And more importantly, you can do it yourself, but have the family conversation. I don't know what it is about families not talking about money. Talk about income, talk about savings, talk about spending, need versus want. And if you truly want time together, like in Olivia and I's case, we bought 20 years of freedom, right? 45 years old. We can go anywhere we want, anytime we want.
Yeah.
Because we got good at that.
Secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone. And the problem is with 79% of people living paycheck to paycheck, I don't know that I'd have the courage to sit and look at my kids and say, we can't afford something. I promise you're being a much better dad, being a much better mom. And I know how many single dads and single moms there are out there, and even married couples together. You're going to make your life so much happier and introduce joy into your life when you realize that you're not sweating over the next check that you got to write.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, live life not so tight in the margins. I promise you that want is far more important than the need that you have of having a nice home, a nice lifestyle in your home. I promise. It's just that thing that people, get wrapped around the axle, like you were saying about consumerism. Yeah, we have it now, but everyone would love to have the life that you and I have today, Mike. Almost no one would choose the life that we had 20 years ago.
Oh,
and that's what it takes.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. I mean, there was a decade you would not have wanted to be me. I mean, seriously, we
only a decade.
Yeah. Maybe the first 40 years, maybe. I claim to be nothing. Yeah. But I mean, there was a decade where God, we were boring. We had nothing nice. We didn't do anything really cool.
Yeah.
In the book, I talk about it. We celebrated nothing, which by the way, was a mistake. But man, It's okay now. I can deep breathe now.
Yeah. But that's what our life was. It was really, really hard. Like I said, I mean, I was making six figures, but things were so tight for me
Yeah.
because of deals that I was in. They were so tight for me that the McDonald's dollar menu was still a treat for us.
Yeah.
And that was on me, but I was trying to grow the business. And was all the pain and angst and sleepless nights worth it? Yes, but I could have done it easier. I could have done it easier had I just learned earlier on that, hey, make this the goal and then do nothing but work towards that goal and let everything else fall by the wayside, and you'll achieve so much faster.
There you go, folks. I love this conversation about our younger selves. Thanks, buddy. You have a great week. All right.
Thanks, Mike. You too.
All right.